So there's all these different considerations that people need to take into account when evaluating whether or not they should invest in these new alternatives.
Well, recently there was an executive order that came out of Washington with some changes to retirement plans, 401k, 403b plans, et cetera. So do you want to talk about that a little bit, Dave?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, historically, when you look at the menu for your 401k investment options, you basically had three things. You had stock funds, bond funds, and cash. Those are three options. And basically, what this executive order did was it expanded the menu of options that people are going to have. And I've got my opinion on whether this is a net positive or negative for America. But basically, you're going to get some of these more complex investment alternatives as part of the menu in your 401k. What are we talking about? We're talking about crypto. Crypto could now show up on your 401k menu. You may be able to invest in Bitcoin as part of your 401k plan. Some private equity and venture capital, those types of things are showing up, and some real estate. Projects and funds, those types of things are also going to be showing up on your portfolio. So this is to the extent that it expands the choice. I think that's a net positive for America, for people who understand the complexity behind some of these new alternatives. I think that more choice is better. Expanded choice is a net positive. I do worry about some people who look at these new options and they look before they don't look before they leap. They don't read the fine print. They don't understand, for example, that these are much more complex offerings, that maybe they have higher fees. Maybe you won't know what the return on your investment will be right away. It might take a whole year before you understand the return of your investment. They may be inherently illiquid. So there's all these different considerations that people need to take into account when evaluating whether or not they should invest in these new alternatives. So I think that, like you said, Mark, our jobs are safe with these new alternatives requires new levels of education in terms of where people should be ultimately investing their money.
Yeah, that's for sure. Because if you think about your average investor, again, when you look at 401k plans, they're usually not managed well. They're not chosen well. Sometimes they're the same investments they chose 25 years ago when they first started, if they're with the same company or somebody in the office guided them towards them. So there's not a good process. Even 401k providers are limited in the advice that they can give. They really can't give advice unless it's a different agreement. But thankfully, with us being in the RIA space, registered investment advisors, we're able to help people with their company plans if we have an agreement to do that. And more of that's going to be needed because as you said, access is good. Having alternatives other than stocks, bonds, and cash can be a good thing. But people get caught up in the excitement of things like crypto or like private equity and private debt. A big movement right now that I hear a lot is you want to invest in your favorite sports teams. You can do that now through private equity and private debt. So that can be we were talking about baseball cards, right? So that could be exciting if suddenly I could own a piece of the Phillies through my 401k. Yeah. So that's right. So that can be great for an individual, but it has to be done cautiously. And I would like to see if I could draft two pieces of legislation or executive orders, if I had the power of the pen, other than world peace, right? I would do a couple things, and that's require require advice on 401k plans. And I think you would see better results for individuals, and also allow for Roth conversions to be done before the tax filing deadline, for crying out loud. Wouldn't that make things easier? So instead of on 12/31, and then of course we talked about it, increasing the provisional income brackets, adjusting it for inflation, because as we said, 1983, I think, was the last time that was adjusted. So
when you think about the 401k menu of alternatives, what do most people default to? They default to these target date funds. Yeah, I'm going to retire in 2040, therefore I'm going to put all my money in there, and it slowly changes the ratio of stocks to bonds year by year as you go along, and it's sort of set and forget it. So you go from this like hands off. I don't really understand it. I just know when I'm going to retire. You guys take care of the rest. It's like the most simplified approach you could possibly imagine to adding crypto. I mean, the pendulum is swinging all the way the other way to these really complex alternatives, and most people don't know. I'm not going to say most people. Some people don't know a stock from a bond. They don't understand how to analyze investments and how to gauge the amount of risk they should be taking in their portfolio at any given point in their lives. And now we're expecting them to understand the difference between, private debt and private equity and, Ethereum and Bitcoin and things like that. So I think it'll be an interesting phase. I'd like the expanded selection. I just think there's going to need to be a lot more education around these menu alternatives.
Yeah, absolutely.